Have you ever felt the weight of eyes on you, the kind of eyes that don't see you but only the color of your skin? For Captain Alicia Monroe, a decorated black police officer with 2 decades of service, one Saturday afternoon at Riverdale Mall would strip her of her uniform's shield and leave her standing alone, judged as nothing more than a suspect. But before we get into how a simple shopping trip turned into public humiliation, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and share this story, because what Alicia faced inside that mall is happening to far too many people who look like her. And trust me, you'll want to hear exactly how this showdown ends. The mall was alive with weekend chaos, families chasing toddlers, teens loitering by the food court, couples drifting in and out of stores. For once, Alicia blended in. Off-duty, purse on her shoulder, she finally felt like just another woman shopping. She even smiled to herself, thinking of her niece's face when she opened the silver charm bracelet she'd been hinting about for weeks. But peace never lasts long when you're a black woman in America. She spotted them first in the reflection of a shoe display. 2 mall security guards, one tall and heavy-set, speaking into his radio without shame. Black female, brown purse, blue sweater. Watching her. The other trailed behind, uneasy but compliant. Alicia's jaw locked. She'd been profiled before, but knowing didn't make the sting any less sharp. Inside Mason's fine jewelry, the sweet scent of vanilla candles and the soft jazz overhead should have felt comforting. Instead, Alicia was met with the stiff posture and tight smile of a store manager who looked at her like trouble wrapped in brown skin. "Can I help you?" The words dripped with suspicion. "Just browsing," Alicia replied, keeping her tone calm though her pulse quickened. She leaned closer to the glass, admiring a delicate butterfly charm bracelet. But before she could ask to see it, the manager's voice sliced the air. Louder now. "I'll need to see inside your bag." The boutique froze. Heads turned. The music seemed to vanish, and then the security guards entered, closing in, eyes sharp, posture aggressive. "Empty the bag," one barked. Alicia stood tall. Black, female, police captain. Yet here she was, being treated like a thief. "No," she said firmly. "You have no cause and no right," the guard sneered, grabbing his radio. "Code 10 at Mason's, subject refusing. Send backup, cameras rose," whispers spread. And then the glass doors flew open. Striding in with a smug grin was Sergeant Blake Riker, a man Alicia knew all too well. His reputation, brutality wrapped in a badge. His eyes locked on her like prey, and Alicia felt her chest tighten. This wasn't going to end with questions. It was about to end with handcuffs. The crowd parted as Sergeant Blake Riker stormed into the boutique, his heavy boots echoing against the polished tile. His badge gleamed under the fluorescent lights, but his smirk carried something far darker, a hunger to humiliate. "What do we have here?" His voice boomed through the store. Another one trying to play smart. Alicia didn't move. She knew Riker. Everyone did. His file was thick with complaints, unnecessary force, false arrests, almost always aimed at people of color. And every single time he walked away untouched. The store manager rushed to him, eager to hand Alicia over. She refused to let us check her bag. "I saw her slip something inside." "That's a lie," Alicia said sharply, her voice controlled but carrying. "I haven't taken a thing." "Check your cameras." But before she could finish, Riker closed the distance and shoved her hard against the glass display wall. The sharp thud echoed through the boutique, rattling the cases. Shoppers gasped. "Someone screamed, 'Hands behind your back!'" Riker barked. His hand dug into her shoulder, pressing her cheek against the cold glass. "This is excessive force," Alicia protested, her voice steady though her chest burned with rage. "I have rights." Riker laughed, low and cruel. "You've got the right to shut up." He yanked her arms back, clamping the cuffs so tight they bit into her skin. The crowd outside the store swelled, phones raised high. Murmurs turned into shouts. "She didn't do anything," someone yelled. Another voice added, "You're targeting her because she's black." But Riker only straightened, puffing his chest as if performing for the cameras. "Should have just cooperated," he announced, gripping Alicia's arm and marching her toward the exit. "Now look at the scene you've caused." Each step through the mall was a walk of humiliation. Shoppers stared, whispers trailed behind her, and cameras flashed like lightning. To them, she looked like just another black woman being dragged away for shoplifting. Alicia lifted her head high, refusing to bow. But inside, fury and heartbreak churned. She had fought her entire career to uphold the law, to be the law. And here she was, handcuffed, paraded like a criminal. The patrol car waited just outside, its metal shell gleaming under the harsh afternoon sun. And that's when Alicia made her choice. Her voice cut clear over the noise, strong despite the cuffs. "I think you should know something, Sergeant Riker," he sneered, jerking her toward the car. "Save it for booking. I'm Captain Alicia Monroe, 15th Precinct." "My badge is in my pocket," the crowd erupted. Phones zoomed in. And for the first time that day, doubt flickered across Riker's face. For a moment, the world seemed to freeze. The words echoed off the concrete walls of the parking lot. "I'm Captain Alicia Monroe, 15th Precinct. My badge is in my pocket." The crowd erupted in gasps and shouts. Phones zoomed closer, capturing every second. A man's voice cut through the noise. "She's a captain! He just arrested a police captain!" Another woman shouted, "Check her ID! She told you, check her badge!" Riker's smug grin faltered. His hand hovered near her pocket, trembling just slightly. His eyes darted to the cameras, then back to Alicia. The confidence he always wore like armor began to crack. Still, he pushed forward, his voice louder than before. "Fake. Probably bought it online. Impersonating an officer. That's another charge." But the crowd wasn't buying it. Anger rolled through them like a wave. "That's her real badge," someone yelled. "You targeted her 'cause she's black." The chant started small, then grew. "Let her go! Let her go!" Phones were everywhere now. Some streamed live. Alicia caught the red light of recording icons in nearly every direction. The truth was spreading, faster than Riker could control, and then came another blow. A second squad car pulled into the lot, lights flashing. Out stepped Sergeant Robert Hayes, a veteran officer Alicia had worked with for years. His eyes landed on the scene. Riker holding a handcuffed black woman in broad daylight, a furious crowd surrounding them. Recognition dawned. "Riker," Hayes called, voice deceptively calm. "Want to explain why you've got Captain Monroe in cuffs?" The parking lot went silent again. All eyes turned to Riker. His face reddened, his jaw clenched. She was shoplifting. Resisting search. "That's all." "That's Captain Monroe," Hayes interrupted firmly, his tone sharpening. "Your commanding officer. Take those cuffs off. Now." Riker hesitated, sweat beading on his forehead. He tried to laugh it off, muttering about procedures and protocol. But his hands betrayed him. They shook as he fumbled with the keys. The cuffs clicked open, leaving red welts on Alicia's wrists. The crowd cheered, phones flashing brighter. For Alicia, it was vindication, but only for a moment. Because as Hayes turned to calm the crowd, Alicia noticed something chilling. Riker wasn't backing down. He was whispering into his radio again, his eyes cold, calculating. That night, a report would surface, and in it, Sergeant Riker would claim that Captain Alicia Monroe, the victim, wasn't a victim at all, but the aggressor. By the time Alicia made it home that evening, her wrists ached where the cuffs had bitten into her skin. She dropped her purse on the kitchen table, trying to shake off the day. But the ping of her laptop pulled her attention. An email. Subject line, incident report, immediate review. Her stomach dropped. She opened the file, eyes scanning line by line. And with every word, her pulse climbed higher. The report was a lie. According to Sergeant Riker, she had been combative from the moment she entered the store. He wrote that she had shouted at staff, refused lawful commands, and struck at officers as they attempted to detain her. The report painted her as the stereotype she had fought against her entire career, the angry black woman who couldn't control herself. Alicia shoved back from the table, her chair scraping hard against the floor. She knew this playbook. Flip the story. Control the narrative. Make the victim the aggressor. And once it was in writing, the department would treat it as fact. Her phone buzzed. "I saw the videos," said Carla Evans, her closest friend and a defense attorney. You need me there. Now. Minutes later, Carla arrived with a thick folder in hand. She scanned the report quickly, her face hardening. It's worse than I thought. He's not just trying to embarrass you, Alicia. He's building a case to bury you. Alicia's voice cracked, anger straining against her control. I've given this city 20 years. I trained Riker, and now he's trying to erase everything I've worked for. Carla leaned forward. Listen to me. This isn't about you alone. I've had half a dozen clients this year, black men and women, arrested at Riverdale Mall under the same pattern. False charges, resisting arrest, assaulting officers, always after they complained about harassment. Riker's name shows up in almost every one. Alicia froze. The truth clicked into place like puzzle pieces she didn't want to see. This wasn't just racial bias. It was a system. A machine, Carla lowered her voice. And if you fight back, Alicia, they're going to come for you. Hard. At that exact moment, Alicia's phone lit up with a new text. No name, just a local number. Back off, Captain. Last warning. Her grip on the phone tightened. Fury surging hot in her chest. And Alicia realized if they were sending threats already, it meant one thing. She was closer to the truth than they ever wanted her to get. Sleep never came that night. Alicia sat at her desk, the glow of her laptop reflecting in tired eyes. The report, the lies, the threat text, it all churned in her head like poison. She opened the precinct database, fingers flying across the keyboard. If Riker thought she'd roll over, he'd forgotten who he was dealing with. The search results hit like a punch. Case after case, stacked in digital rows. Same mall, same charges, same officers. Riker's name over and over again. Dozens of arrests, nearly all black men and women. By the time Carla returned the next morning, Alicia already had printouts spread across the table. Look at this, Alicia said, stabbing her finger at the data. They're running a pattern. Arrest, accuse, force a plea deal. It's not sloppy, it's organized. Carla opened her folder, adding even more fuel. I dug deeper, too. Every one of my clients ended up on probation with a company called New Horizons Supervision Services. And you'll never guess who owns it. Alicia frowned. Who? Greenwood Holdings. The same corporation that owns Riverdale Mall. The air seemed to leave the room. Alicia pushed back in her chair, gripping the arms tight. So the mall profits when shoppers spend money, and again when they're arrested? That's not just racism. That's business. A machine feeding off black lives. Carla nodded grimly. They call it outsourcing probation. But really, it's modern-day debt slavery. Monthly supervision fees, drug testing costs, ankle monitor bills. People end up paying thousands. If they can't pay, they're sent back to jail. And the cycle starts again. Alicia's jaw clenched. And Riker's their muscle. He targets the people, manufactures the charges, delivers them into the system. All to keep the money flowing. Carla leaned closer. Alicia, this is bigger than one bad cop. This is corporate corruption. And if you're right about the scale, they'll do whatever it takes to silence you. As if on cue, Alicia's phone buzzed. Another text from the same number? You think you're uncovering something new? We own this city. Stop digging or you'll regret it. Alicia stared at the screen, her fists trembling. Fear coursed through her veins, but underneath it, fire. They thought threats would stop her. They had no idea who they were up against. That night, as Alicia pulled into her driveway, she saw it. Spray-painted across her car in dripping red letters. Traitor. The headlights swept across her driveway, and Alicia's stomach dropped. Her white sedan sat there vandalized, scarred with thick red spray paint that screamed one word across the hood. Traitor. Her throat tightened as she stepped out, the night air heavy and silent. The paint still dripped, fresh. Someone had been here minutes ago. She scanned the shadows, hand on her holster, but the street was empty. Whoever had done this wanted her to find it, not catch them. The next morning was worse. Her mailbox overflowed with envelopes. No stamps, no return addresses. Inside, threats scribbled in jagged handwriting. Racial slurs, drawings of nooses, photos of her niece's school. And at the bottom of the pile, one picture chilled her to the bone. Her own arrest at the mall. a pair of crosshairs drawn over her face. Alicia sat heavily at her kitchen table, the hate mail spread like poison around her. Fear pressed against her chest, but another feeling burned hotter. Anger. If they were threatening her family, then she was getting close, too close for them to stay quiet. Her phone buzzed. This time it wasn't a threat. It was her teenage niece Kayla standing on the porch with her backpack slung over one shoulder. "Auntie D," Kayla said, her voice shaky but determined. "I needed to see you." Alicia pulled her in, the tension in her body breaking for just a moment at the comfort of her niece's embrace. "They're saying terrible things about you on the news," Kayla continued. "But they're lying. Everyone at school knows they're lying." She unlocked her phone, eyes bright. "Look," Alicia stared at the screen. The mall video, the footage of her being slammed against the glass, dragged in cuffs, had gone viral. 5 million views. Comment sections flooded with outrage. Hashtags demanding justice. People from across the country calling her a hero for standing her ground. Kayla's voice trembled, but her words cut sharp. "You're not alone, Auntie. You started something. People believe you, and they're angry. Not at you, but at them." For the first time in days, Alicia felt a spark of hope pierce the fog of threats and fear. They wanted her silenced, humiliated, erased. But instead, her story was spreading like wildfire, and then a teenage girl Alicia had never met stepped out of the protest crowd with shaking hands and a phone in her pocket, claiming she had proof Riker set the whole thing up. The protest outside Riverdale Mall had swelled into hundreds. Hand-painted signs bobbed above the crowd. "Justice for Alicia." "And racial profiling. We see you, Riker." Alicia stood on the edge, ball cap pulled low, blending with the crowd. She wasn't here for the chants or the cameras. She was here for the girl who'd messaged her the night before. 17-year-old Jordan Miller looked terrified as she stepped forward, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline. Her hands shook as she passed it to Alicia. I filmed everything before it happened. I was across the hall when Riker told the guards to stall you inside the store. He said..." Jordan swallowed, tears filling her eyes. "He said, we'll make her slip up. She'll give us something." Alicia's breath caught. Evidence. The missing puzzle piece. Proof this wasn't a misunderstanding, it was a setup. "Jordan," Alicia said gently, gripping the girl's shoulders. "What you did is brave. This video changes everything." But Alicia knew video alone wasn't enough. She needed voices, records, a chain of evidence too big for the system to bury. That's when she heard a voice behind her. "I can help with that." Alicia turned to see Maya Lopez, a young journalist with a reputation for chasing stories no one else dared touch. Maya's dark eyes burned with determination. "I've been digging into Greenwood Holdings for months. The mall, the probation company, the police contracts, they're all connected. I just couldn't prove the arrests were staged." She nodded to Jordan's phone. "Until now." The three of them huddled together in the corner of a noisy coffee shop that afternoon. Alicia with her reports, Maya with her corporate files, Jordan with her shaky footage. Piece by piece, the conspiracy unfolded. A pipeline of arrests, fines, and probation fees that turned human lives into corporate revenue. "We take this public," Maya said firmly, "not just to the press, to the city council. They can't ignore it on live television. Cameras rolling, the whole community watching." Carla, who had joined them late, leaned forward. "It's risky, Alicia. Once you speak, you'll be declaring war on powerful people. They'll strike back harder than ever." Alicia looked around the table, at Jordan's trembling resolve, at Maya's fearless determination, at Carla's steady support. Her fear was real, but so was her fire. "We're done hiding," she said. "They wanted me silent. Instead, I'm going to speak where they can't shut me down." But the night before the council meeting, Maya staggered into Alicia's living room, bloodied, bruised, and whispering through split lips. "It wasn't random." He had a badge. The council chamber was packed to the rafters. Protesters, reporters, city officials, every seat was filled, every hallway overflowing. The air buzzed with tension. Cameras pointed at the podium like loaded weapons. Alicia walked in wearing her uniform. Her captain's badge gleamed under the harsh lights, her posture straight, unshaken despite the storm raging inside her. Every step felt like a dare to the system that had tried to break her. Behind her sat Jordan, clutching her phone, and Carla with a thick binder of documents. Maya, bruised but unbowed, had her arm in a sling. Her voice was weak, but her eyes burned with fire. "They tried to stop me," she whispered to Alicia before the meeting began. "Don't let them stop you." When Alicia's name was called, she stepped up to the microphone. The room hushed. "My name is Captain Alicia Monroe, and I was falsely arrested at Riverdale Mall." Gasps rippled through the chamber. Screens around the room lit up with video. Jordan's footage, spliced with live-streamed clips of Alicia being shoved against the glass, cuffed, dragged through the mall. The crowd roared in outrage, but Alicia wasn't done. She laid the documents across the council desk, rows of names, charges, probation fees. "This isn't just about me. It's a pattern. Black shoppers targeted, arrested, funneled into a probation company owned by the same corporation that owns Riverdale Mall. This isn't justice. It's profit, and it's systemic." The evidence rolled on screen. Corporate memos, financial statements, emails tying Greenwood Holdings to local police contracts. The chamber exploded with noise. Council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. And then the final blow. Maya's footage of Riker caught on tape whispering to guards, "She'll slip up. We'll make her." The crowd erupted, boos, chants, fists pounding the benches. Reporters surged forward. Flashbulbs burst like fireworks. Across the room, Sergeant Riker sat stone-faced, sweat dripping down his temples. For the first time in his career, the power wasn't in his hands. It was crumbling beneath him. Alicia's voice cut through the chaos, steady and unyielding. "This stops now. Not just for me, but for everyone who's been silenced, targeted, and erased by this system." The chamber shook with applause, chants of her name echoing off the walls. But even as the council scrambled and the cameras captured every second, Alicia knew this was just the beginning. The machine she had exposed would not go quietly. She had won this battle, but the war for justice was only beginning. If this story hit you as hard as it hit me, make sure you subscribe, tap that like button, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because stories like Alicia's aren't fiction, they're real, and they're happening every day. And together, by spreading the truth, we make it harder for corruption to hide.